Hey YouTube, what's going on? It's been a hot minute since I've gone over some basic customization on figures and stuff like that. I've been slowly collecting up the parts I needed to build what I would consider my ultimate pantheon of He-Men. And as you can see behind me, I've done that, and I've made what I think is the best version of each of the He-Men incarnations with the current Masterverse line, with the exception of the fact that the 40th anniversary He-Man is coming out on Masterverse, which I'll probably pick up anyway just to throw him in this. But this is my multiverse He-Man diorama. And so let's take a look at how I broke down each of these classic figures and what that really translates into in terms of how you could make them. All right, let's take a quick look. All right, let's take a look first at King Grayskull. This is Revelations King Grayskull. And honestly, with the exception of having to do a wash on the white parts of the boots, I'm going to do a brown wash over that so that we get a little bit of dirt. I think the figure's pretty much perfect. King Grayskull, in my opinion, is the best figure they've put out in Masterverse to date in terms of the two-tone on the buckles and the bracers. The head sculpt is friggin' fantastic. So is the other head sculpt. Really love the detail in the hair. I mean, it is a gorgeous figure. The swords, though, my God, did they really nail these swords? I know that the special edition Scareglow came with those two put together. That's crap compared to this. This is gorgeous. So all I did was swap out a Revelations He-Man chest plate on him to make King Grayskull a warrior king. He's just basically, I wanted the deltoids showed off. I wanted him looking like He-Man. So this isn't King Grayskull. This is He-Man. So this is my He-Man who will become King Grayskull. He will rise to power and be crowned the first King Grayskull in this universe. And the figure is just gorgeous, and they just did such a great job on it. Originally, I wasn't really going to utilize him in any sort of a display capacity until I found out that Dennis Haysbert was doing the voice for Revelations, and I went, well, frig it, now I need to get that figure anyway. I knew I was always going to make my version of King Grayskull, which was more so based on the 2000X version, but this figure was just so good, I couldn't not utilize him, so I created a version. So for me, once I take the parts I need to make the 2000X, I just simply swap out a standard He-Man vest of your choosing, and he's ready to rock and roll, and I let him keep the two blades. And he's a double sword wielding He-Man. So like if you've read He-Man and the Masters of the Multiverse, there's so many different He-Men that get together and fight in an army. He's the Berserker guy. He's the one. So he's definitely part of that multiverse fight against anti-eternia He-Man. Hi. Another really easy one was doing a proper Olar. I decided to use the standard He-Man Revelations head, as many people have. You can also use New Eternia He-Man's head, and it looks great. You can use either head. I just decided I'm going to use the New Eternia He-Man head on my standard He-Man. But this is just, a very easy, standard, straightforward Olar. Nothing has changed. It's just a head swap. And like I said, you can actually use this head if you want. This head is the New Eternia He-Man head, and it looks just fine on this as well. So you can do Olar with him. And again, this is not anything special. I did a wash on this figure. I did, obviously I painted the shield up. You can see on the boots and everything, I detailed the boots. I just did a paint job on the loincloth, did a paint job on the boots. I really just sort of gave it some pop because I thought it was a gorgeous figure and it just needed a little bit of life. They've since now started doing washes on their subsequent figures, so I think I kind of read the writing on the wall with that. He's holding the New Eternia He-Man sword, which is very much like the classic sword. It comes with a wrap on the handle, and it's a different color, which is cool. I gotta tell you, I'm not such a huge fan of the wrap. I feel like it makes the sword look a little less mystic, a little bit more barbarian-like, which, to me doesn't invoke that sort of regal power that King Grayskull's sword needs to have. And so I like it as He-Man's sword. I like the idea that Olar became He-Man. He's got a little bit of a savagery in him, so I wanted to keep the loincloth and everything fairly traditional. And the new vest that comes with New Eternia He-Man is pretty solid, and it has the sword holster and everything. Now, because of this is one piece, so that means you have to slide this up over the legs. It's actually a pain in the ass to get on and off. So that's something to bear in mind, but I put the new Eternia He-Man head on him, the new Eternia vest, the new Eternia sword, and then I just repainted the base body of standard Revelations He-Man. And to me, that's classic He-Man. Like, that's to me my classic He-Man that I grew up with. Not Filmation. I wasn't a Filmation guy. I didn't like Filmation He-Man, to be honest with you. I liked Thundercats. He-Man seemed kind of stupid to me as a cartoon. But I had the toys, and I had some of the comics, and I was always kind of into that look for He-Man. So this is, to me, my best representation of that He-Man. And so I like him a lot. And so he displays with my Warrior He-Man and my Olar on my Castle Grayskull that I built. And that's my display. This is my frickin' pride and joy, though. I am so happy about this. And I'm going to give you a couple reasons as to why. It's not a racist thing that I wanted to make King Grayskull look like this. It's something a lot more basic. I liked King Grayskull, and again, he's got a little bit... This is the new Eternia He-Man legs. And you kind of got to be a little on top of his ankles. His ankles are a little dodge. So we might have to lock out the knees in order to do this. Okay, there we go. So this is my ultimate He-Man, my ultimate King Grayskull, and I don't like that he looks down. I may have to go in and make some cuts and modify and do something with the head so that he's not doing that, because that is bothersome to me. But this is really, the piece that was missing were the shoulder pads. And when I got new Eternia He-Man, again, the boots need a wash, and they need a highlight painting. The leather loincloth is good. It's actually 2 pieces. I'm fine with that. But the shoulder pads is what really made the difference for me. And the reason it made a huge difference for me is because I realized that my He-Man is Dolph Lundgren. The reason I liked King Grayskull, the reason I liked that 2000X version of He-Man, it was never about how much I liked King Grayskull or how much I liked him as a white guy. It's because he reminded me of Dolph Lundgren from He-Man, the 1987 film. And, you know, the red cape. And I never thought about it. But I said, once I saw the golden shoulder pauldrons on New Eternia He-Man, I thought, I wonder how that would look on a King Grayskull with shoulder pauldrons, because he normally just had the white over it, and it was invoking something in my mind, and I never really got the connection, especially with that Classics figure. It's freaking Dolph Lundgren. So that is really what this is. To me, this is Dolph Lundgren as He-Man. The cape has been added from the Revelations King Grayskull. I'm on a Lazy Susan. I don't know why I just turn it, but... And what I've done is, now this is where you have to get a little dodgy. So it's the full buck of New Eternia He-Man. I actually really like the leather loincloth for him. I love the fact that it has that little extra detail with the boot dagger. That's a lot of fun. Because he's a warrior king, but you wanted something that invoked something a little bit more regal. So we've got the Savage He-Man head, because it does sort of, with those front locks here, invoke that sort of look from the 2000X, but it's not blatant. But I do love the scowl and the face and the look and the eyes. So to me, this is the head that I knew I wanted on it. I wanted the 2000X piece because I wanted to invoke that era of King Grayskull. So I used those aspects of that figure. But the cape I wanted, so I put the cape on it. And the main thing was getting the shoulder pauldrons onto it. Now, I will tell you this right now, they won't go on this piece. You have to cut the shoulder pauldrons in such a way that you can slip them on. So you do have to destroy it a little bit to get them on there, but once they're on there, they do stay just fine. And they pose. So this is, to me, the ultimate He-Man. The one thing I needed was a really badass sword, so I did pick this up as a custom until I get a sword that I'm really happy with in the Masterverse line. I may end up using the 2000X. I really don't know, but I'm super happy because, it invokes that sort of He-Man from the 1987 film, which is my film. I have the Skeletor figure from Classics. It's the only Classics figure I own. I'm really happy with it. And so that's how they display on my piece. So if you want to make the ultimate King Grayskull, quote-unquote, or in my opinion, just the ultimate He-Man figure, it's that 1987 look, and this is the closest look that I can get to that with Revelations figures. Really happy with it. I'm happy with all of them, and they'll all display as my multiverse He-Man.